Hello, everyone. Welcome to BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. So, we're here with my friend and colleague, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. She is obviously on the
Are we
road
live?
today. How you doing this morning, Fran?
I'm good. Are we live?
Yes, oh yes, we are live. I
Okay.
just
I just
introduced
don't
and
see it on
told
my
everybody,
end because I'm.
okay, and told everybody you're on the road. So you are on screen. We can hear you. Excuse me, and we see you in the train.
I just see blue. I
Oh,
just see blue. That's why I was concerned.
oh, all right. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning.
You see red?
I'm sorry. We are live and in living color. And today is the day that we talk tech. So we're here with Tech Life Weekly. I'm Terralina from California Cover Ups, and I'm here with my friend and colleague, Francine Gregory. We always like to get started with this week in tech. So, Fran, did you want to talk about it? You want me to roll your video? Okay, you are muted. You're muted.
Roll the view there.
Okay, here we go.
This week in tech history, the first integrated circuit. On September 12, 1958, Jack Kilby at Texas Instruments successfully tested the first integrated circuit, marking the start of modern electronics. The first computer bug on September 9, 1947. The first actual computer bug was recorded. A moth trapped in the Harvard Mark II computer. Grace Hopper, a pioneer in computer science, was involved in documenting the event. Star Trek premieres, 1966. On September 8, 1966, the iconic sci-fi TV series Star Trek aired its first episode. Though it only ran for 3 seasons, the series inspired many technological innovations, like the communicator, influencing the development of portable tech. Charles Simonyi, who played a pivotal role in creating Microsoft Word and the first WYSIWYG editor, was born on September 10, 1948. On September 13, 1983, Osborne Computer, the creator of the first portable computer, declared bankruptcy despite its groundbreaking device, the Osborne Eye. Now for tech-making history, September 12, 2024. Google's antitrust trial. Google is facing a significant antitrust trial, which started on September 12, 2024. The U.S. Department of Justice is challenging the company's dominance in digital advertising, which could lead to major changes for Google and potentially force them to divest parts of their ad tech business. A pretty cool robotic wheelchair. Korea's Institute of Machinery and Materials has developed an early version of a wheelchair that can climb stairs and traverse rocky terrain by creating a compliant wheel with a smart chain structure that conforms to the ground around it. And that is your week in tech history and tech making history.
Wow. The thing that sticks in my head, you know what sticks in my head, don't you? That wheelchair,
Which one?
the wheelchair, because the wheelchair, the fact that it can go over those kinds of terrains is really important to me because I have a friend who is wheelchair bound and they have challenges sometimes with the balance of the chair, getting up and over curbs and things of that nature. So if it can navigate a bump here and a bump there better, it makes me smile. Wow. And so that wheelchair is from South Korea?
I think it was.
I,
I
I got
think so. I'm not sure. I'll go back and check.
I think it was.
Well, here
Korea. Yep.
Okay, so here's the other thing, the fact that it went upstairs, not
Yes.
just going up the stairs. Okay.
Or having to tether yourself to something to get up the stairs and get back in the chair and da da da. Da. I can imagine that that is a real challenge, especially for not just the person who is using the vehicle, but the person who has to transfer. Because, if the person is much larger than you, let's say you're trying to transfer your husband and you're 5'1" and he's 6'2", that's a problem. So the fact that he would not or she would not have to get out of the chair, but they could still use the second floor means a lot of people don't have to relocate or adapt the insides of their homes. That's major. Okay, you're muted. That's
Yeah,
major.
I'm muted myself. It
Mhm.
is. Now, the other thing on the Google's antitrust situation,
Yes.
I'm
What's
like,
that about?
who's complaining? Somebody is complaining. I was like, come on, y'all. Something
They
to do with their ad
you know they deserve
business.
they deserve to make a profit after all the years of free service that they have given the public and all the free services that they provide daily. Shouldn't they have an opportunity to become profitable?
Yes. And then I'm like, okay, Facebook runs ads and other people run ads as well. Just because you didn't
Correct.
get in the game first don't mean that somebody else got to suffer because you just didn't. It was the same thing they did with Microsoft. They tried to say that they cornered the market or they were the only computer software company and everybody else was at a disadvantage because of it. No,
Shouldn't
or
you
like they do with Apple.
Yes. Shouldn't you get some kind of profit for taking a risk and being the first one to enter the market, to bring the technology to the market? Uh, you know what I mean? Sort of like Henry Ford and the automobile. Does he does he now is he now being would he have been accused of having monopoly because he invented the thing? Okay.
It's like you didn't create it, but now you want me to split up all the stuff I created
And
because you
give it
didn't do your work.
you didn't do your homework and now you now you want me to share my salary with you because I did my homework and I got up a good position. I guess that's sort of how I look at it.
I was like, come on, y'all, really? And who's bringing the lawsuit? Somebody who's mad because they didn't come think of it first or didn't do the work
Or it
first.
didn't take the risk of getting in early. You know what I
Exactly,
mean?
because they spent lots and lots and lots of money for us to have what we have and for them to be in a position to ask for the ads.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think they deserve to be rewarded for their hard work. And I'm just thinking about how long Google gave free services and is still giving free services.
Hmm.
Ah,
So, Dr. Taji, we're talking about Google's antitrust suit that started last yesterday. They're being sued because they start saying it's being said or allegated that they have a monopoly on the ad industry for some reason. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is interesting, and this has been. This is not Google's first time at the races. That's not even a saying, I don't think, is it? But they've had this before when it came to search.
it's not their first rodeo.
That okay, that too. So it's not their first time in the ice cream line.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Whatever.
they they've they experienced this, as I said, because of search and a monopoly on search and that type of thing. And it's interesting because I don't doubt that there are probably some practices that may be questionable when it comes to these things. But at what point is it questionable practices, and at what point is it they're just really good at what they do? So this is where people gravitate.
Or they were the first one in the market, right? So this is what people think of when they think of a search engine.
Exactly. Can
Okay,
may,
so
may
there's
I say something
Bing,
really
right?
quickly? I'm sorry.
Yes,
I was just wondering
yes.
if you were on the freedom rides, because that's what it looked like.
Oh, Fran is on the train this morning.
Okay, I figured it was a train,
So
but
there's a little delay, and that's why it sounds like you guys are talking over each other. There's probably a little delay for her.
okay, okay, no worries. Enjoy.
Mm, but we just ran her video showing this this allegation against Google for being a monopoly. Is that basically what we're saying? And or is it the
Right.
ad?
And it, well, both the search and the ads, because people put ads on the search, but isn't Bing a search engine?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Does
Oh,
Bing have ads?
and in there, Yahoo is a search. There's other
Mm-hmm.
search places. Just because like you said, Dr. Taji, just because you're not good at it does not mean you can have a temper tantrum.
Well, evidently, people just like to sue.
I have a question. Well, who's bringing the allegations? Is this something brought forth by, is this the state, like People versus Google? Is it like the Justice Department or the Trade Commission bringing this, or is this individual companies that are alleging this?
Mm. Friend, she's asking, is it a government lawsuit or is it a private lawsuit? I don't know if she can hear us.
Ah,
She said, just a minute. Oh,
okay.
I'm just looking it up right now.
Ah,
I'm looking
okay.
it up.
all
Okay.
righty, daddy. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. And if this type of thing holds,
Mm-hmm.
it it then almost back to the question, is it my fault because I'm really good at a particular thing? Do I need to suppress for free market enterprise? But then if we're looking at it, the whole purpose of a free market enterprise is whoever is the best gets the most.
And who's ever first to the market gets name brand recognition, a-
Exactly.
and people tend to go there first.
Now, if they're engaging in tactics that are specifically aimed at suppressing the market share of ads for other entities, then yes, there's a problem.
Okay.
But often, I shouldn't say often, but sometimes it can be that you're just really good. You've got the recognition, people recognize who you are. So they use you. I mean, really, please. And then here's another thing,
Mm-hmm.
Google ads are also very effective. I can speak to this as someone who has done that. Part of me being able to, grow so quickly on YouTube was being able to take out, it was like two ads that I did, two
Mm-hmm.
ads,
Wow.
because that puts it in front of other, in addition to other things, but that put it in front of large numbers of people. And you can see the two videos that I used for the Google ads have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of views. So I don't know what to say. If I'm looking at it as a business person, I'm not going to go and do Yahoo ads. I don't even know that they have a thing, because it has not been proven
Mm-hmm.
to be as effective as Google ads are. So I don't know.
Well, Fran put
Oh,
this in the
in the private chat.
yeah. It says the Justice Department and states had sued Google, accusing it of allegedly cementing its dominance by paying companies like Apple and Samsung billions of dollars a year to automatically steer users to Google's search engine on their smartphones and web browsers.
Okay.
The fact that they have
Okay.
relationships with Apple and Samsung is now a problem as far as the Justice Department is concerned. Really?
Oh, okay, so here's my thing. So that means it's covering Android and Apple. So
Hmm.
the point I want to make is I get a choice. I can go in there and change it to Bing if I want it. But why
Yes.
don't I change it to Bing? Why don't I change it to Yahoo or one of the other search engines? Oh, because Google works.
It does work, and here's the thing, and which is interesting. So if they're saying companies like Apple, well, Apple has Safari as their search engine, right? And so they don't have to enter
Yes, it
into those
does.
types of agreements if they're really interested in, oh, well, we're trying to push Safari. So this is not a coercion thing. They have their own, they're a large company too, and they have their own search engines.
Hmm.
Uh, Samsung uses Android. Who is Android owned by? Google.
Google, so it's their own stuff, right? So why are we complaining?
Yeah, exactly. I don't, there could be more to it than what we're seeing here. There could be more to it that we don't know. And I do not agree with unfair business practices. I don't agree with monopolizing.
Hmm. But this thing of steering users, okay, they paid for it. Isn't that sort of like an ad? Isn't that like a relationship? We're paying you to collaborate with us. And in that collaboration, part of that collaboration is that you show them us first. Isn't that the agreement? We're paying for the agreement. Is that really steering, or is that, a business agreement?
Somebody
To exploit?
complained. This can't be the Justice Department, because on we definitely how government works. They don't do anything on their own unless it's brought to their attention first. Because remember, we tend to be very reactive as opposed to proactive. So some company probably complained, and this is exactly how this came about.
Yeah, somebody's throwing a tantrum, as Fran says.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Fran, that was stimulating. Oh my goodness. So with that, we're going to move on. Thank you, Fran, for that. Yeah, it got me sort of interested in that whole Google thing. And also in the electric wheelchair that goes upstairs. I thought that was phenomenal. So
Mm.
thank you, Fran, for this week in tech history. um, oh, we got another message here. Okay. All right. Francis, her stop is next, so she'll be watching us from her phone. Okay. I keep moving these boxes around. They keep moving back. There you go. She must have moved them too. Oh my goodness. Before we start, Dr. Tachi, I want to run a short video.
Yeah, actually, please.
Okay, for tech news.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
let me see if I can get this going. Da-da-da-da-da.
I'm sure you've heard the news. Building a house in 3 weeks might sound impossible. But with 3D printing, it's a reality. At Wolf Ranch in Texas, a massive 45-foot wide, 4.75-ton 3D printer is turning heads in homes. This isn't just any neighborhood, it's the world's largest 3D printed community, soon to be 100 homes strong. Why is this a game changer? Well, 3D printed homes can be built up to 30% cheaper and way faster than traditional houses. They're sturdy with thick walls that withstand tornadoes, block heavy traffic noise, and keep you cool in that scorching Texas heat. The only hiccup? Those thick walls can sometimes mess with your Wi-Fi signal, but hey, nothing a router can't fix. Charlie Coleman from Lenner says innovation like this is crucial given our housing shortage. And with Icon, a cutting-edge construction tech firm, and the Bjarke Ingels group on board, the future looks bright. Icon isn't stopping at Earth. They've got their eyes on the moon. With NASA contracts, they're planning to 3D print lunar bases. Talk about taking home building to new heights. So, could your next house be 3D printed? Stay tuned as we watch this revolution unfold.
Well, I thought that this was an interesting article because it ended talking about the fact that they want to actually 3D print lunar stations on the moon. And my question is, how do you get this heavy equipment up there? But, that's not for me to say. But I guess if you can get a whole rocket up there, I guess you can get some equipment up there. I also thought it was interesting because we have people promising to lower the cost of housing.
Yeah, yeah.
And people to build voluminous numbers of housing in the near future because there's such a housing shortage. This made sense to me. Maybe the government would take some of that money that they're getting from these lawsuits and invest it in the equipment, because it's probably the equipment that is keeping us from really propelling into this for 3D printing. Still need the construction workers. You still got to have electricity, plumbing. It's got to be run out to the sewers. It's got to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the grid. So it's not putting people out of work. It's putting more people to work because you have to have cement makers installing windows, installing heating vats, all of that stuff still has to go on. You're just printing the shell.
Correct.
You still need doors hung, all of that stuff. So I think sometimes people look at it and say, oh, it's putting people out of work. No, it's putting more people to work. And then you have to have people to maintain the equipment. You got, you know what I'm saying? Run the equipment, build the equipment, all of this. So it's just moving into another phase of building. And I thought it was really interesting that they're building 100 house neighborhood right here in Texas. Because the last time we talked, I think they were building in Mexico and other countries. And we saw them building one or two houses, a house here, a house there in the US. But they're actually building a community. And I feel like this is a test so that they can see, okay, this is how we put the community together. This is how we connect it to this. And we need green space and, just the whole urban planning situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, but then they took me by surprise when they said, yeah, we're going to build stuff on the moon with this equipment, with this 3D printing process. I was like, wow. Okay.
So you can build things on the moon, but you can't bring these two astronauts back. I'm like, where?
Hey, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's another conversation. But I'm like, it seems like our attention is in the wrong place
right now, because the fact that who took them up there? Did Boeing take them up there?
That was Boeing.
And now what's really scary is Boeing's employees are going on strike. I'm like, what the heck? We got people stranded in space. I know y'all need a raise. You probably deserve it, which is probably why the door fell off the airplane. However, because they overworked you and underpaid you. Now you want me to trust you to take stuff to the moon, but anyway.
But you know,
we digress.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But to be honest, this kind of ties into what we were just talking about in terms of competition and antitrust. Part of the problem, and not to go into a whole Boeing thing, but part of the problem is when you don't have enough companies that are doing something that there are really only two companies that make aircraft, right? Boeing and Airbus. I know there are probably others, but in this country, most airlines are using either Boeing planes or Airbus, and I think the majority are Boeing. Yeah, so this brings into question that type of thing too. If we're talking about that for a search engine, where is the
Here's the other question: where do we go if we put you out of business?
Yeah,
If we put Boeing out of business, if we let them fail, who maintains all these Boeing planes and da 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 da? Da?
exactly. And Francine says, "Why are we trying to be everywhere we are not equipped to be?" No, thank you, thank you. Who asked to go to Mars, the moon, Venus, all of these places? And I do understand exploration and human exploration is,
Mhm.
but not when we're taking away from. To me, it's taking away from the other good things that could be done here. So have you said, well, there's basically nothing else left on earth. We're done. Let's Do you know how many issues need to be fixed?
Well, I'm just thinking of potential issues in space. What do we do about the gravity thing when we're running that 3D printer? I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is a
What do
real.
we do about oxygen inside the building? I guess they figured all of that out. I don't know, but that's not for me to figure out, and it's not for me to fix. I just, you were saying we got problems here. Yeah, we got. I hope they're working the stuff out before they send the astronauts.
I'm like, listen, you haven't proven that you can sufficiently handle in 2024, in the year of our Lord, bringing somebody back
A round trip, something that we've already done several times.
several
We
times,
got
and
to
now,
hitchhike rides with people and all kind of craziness.
and they're sitting there talking about February. Have you gone mad? So
It's
anyway, I think
yes,
before we
I
start
digress.
printing things in space, can we make sure that we can do a round trip first?
Can we? Yeah, can we at least get the bus to bring me home first? Okay, y'all can do whatever you want after I get home.
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. And
So
then, so I'm sorry, were these for living? These were for living quarters, right? A whole planned
they said something about a
community.
lunar station. So I'm presuming that it would encompass, because I'm sure the population is not going to be that large.
I
I'm
don't
sure it
think
would
so.
probably accommodate living as well as labs, etc. So I guess it was sure to be like an all-in-one. If they can get the building built
Yes.
and get it to stick to the ground,
Yeah. Well, what do they do with the space, the shuttles? How do they?
well, evidently they got some way to make things stay on the ground, because think about the lunar explorer, the little thing going around taking pictures everywhere.
Right. So
It's
what is
on the
that? Is that
ground. It's like
magnetism?
a rover, right?
Yes. So I'm wondering, are they using, I don't know about the moon and magnetism, but are they using some sort of magnetism to be able to keep them? And there's the same thing, with the spacesuit and
Mhm.
how they'll go out and do the spacewalks. They're able to stay down somehow.
But they're tethered, aren't they?
I listen, you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, we're not rocket scientists, but we do have some common sense about these things. We've been told there's no gravity, and we see them floating around inside the spaceship. You know what I mean? I don't know how they do that, but
Listen,
God bless them and may it stick. I hope
yeah,
they what they say. I hope they stick the landing. Fran says oxygen, water. Yeah, what's the little things.
listen.
I'm just saying. So now that I've stirred you all up, I'm going to pass the baton to Dr. Tachi. You say, how rude. We're going to talk about this week in media. Oh my gosh. Doc,
Well,
let me put you
yeah, no
in.
problem. Well, I just have a few stories after
Okay.
that that those musings that we had. I think it's very interesting. So I did want to talk about something that's a little bit techie first
Okay.
before we go on. It's, but media tech, it's all the same thing. So OpenAI, I don't know if you all talked about that,
No, we
but
didn't. We have
okay.
not.
So they have a new model coming out called O1, or is it zero? Sorry, yeah, 0101, the little small O they have. So I think it's O1. And it's designed to spend more time computing the answers before responding to queries. And OpenAI said this in a blog post on Thursday. So, also, this new model, the tools should be able to solve multi step problems, including complicated math and coding questions. And they said this as an early model, it doesn't yet have many of the features that make ChatGPT useful, like browsing the web for information and uploading files and images. But for complex reasoning tasks, this is a significant advancement and represents a new level of AI capability. Given this, we are resetting the counter back to 1 and naming this series Open AI O1. So this has reasoning capabilities. And I found that, go ahead, go ahead. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Does this mean that people can now build their own nuclear reactors? Did we talk about this last week? And I mean, just do interesting things. You know what I mean?
Well, there's always been the capacity for people to try and attempt to do interesting things. I
Hmm.
I don't, it's still too early to really say what the capabilities are. And again, this is an early model, but it has reasoning capabilities, so it's reasonable to assume that it could figure some things out, right?
Like
Um,
hydrogen things. Yeah.
yeah, and
Mhm.
maybe the two astronauts that are stranded could say, "We don't need you. We have Open AI 01. We'll build our own damn ship." So, not to go back to that again, but I
Oh
couldn't.
my goodness. Well, Fred has a comment here. She says, and they have asked the other countries for help getting them home. Oh yes, she's still talking about the astronauts. Yes,
Have they?
yeah, we had to hitch a ride with the Russians and somebody else at one point to get some other guys home in the past. So,
So we're saying this has happened before.
yeah, evidently we've needed assistance before. I just think the problem is that there's nobody to hitch a ride with. And I don't know if they'd give us a ride since we're having some issues with them now in terms of this war. Uh, you know,
Yeah, the two countries that had space for, yeah.
you know,
Okay, well,
okay,
okay.
could be a problem.
It could be quite problematic. So anyway.
Although I'm sure one of our politicians could just call them up and get them a ride.
That that could be. They could call a space Uber. They need something.
Hmm.
Wow.
Sounds like, she says, sounds like a real space cadet situation. Okay. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's something else I have to put it, and this is, related to media because it is tech, but it's also um media.
Okay.
Um no, actually, never mind that.
Are you
I
sure?
yeah, never mind
You
that.
talk
I will,
about a rabbit hole, huh?
yeah, exactly. I will go down a serious rabbit hole. Let's talk about some representation news. I have more things.
Okay.
Um,
Can we talk about James Earl Jones first?
yes, you know what?
You
Let's
mentioned him
let's go
first.
backwards because I did talk about these things on Mediascope on Wednesday. So we've lost two great individuals in the world of entertainment. We lost James Earl Jones, who he was 93, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, passed away at the age of 93, has a storied career. He is the voice. If you remember, this is CNN. If you remember Darth Vader, I mean, he is an actor and was an actor and a wonderful one in his own right, but that voice was also you
And I'm
know, the lead
sure his
actor.
voice is going to be used in AI to come because it's just so distinctive.
Now, that's if did he give permission for that?
I don't think so, but I think that his family should have the ability to license it or whatever.
Yes, yeah, it would be
Legacy.
interesting, because his voice is so, distinctive. Now, I'm wondering I think I remember reading something, and Fred is here, and says, sounds like some real space cadets." Hey, Fred. So, I remember reading something about giving permission for something, and it's escaping me now, I have to look that up, but, his voice is so iconic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have a favorite? This is what I ask people on Wednesday. Do you have a favorite movie with James Earl Jones or a line from James Earl Jones?
I am your father. No,
What? I,
no, but I do remember seeing him in Raisin in the Sun and another
mm,
other plays. Yeah. Oh, and Fred says Claudine.
yes, Claudine is definitely a
Hmm.
classic film.
I did see that. Hmm.
So absolutely, Raisin in the Sun is is I'll just say it again, it's a classic. I so enjoyed watching Raisin in the Sun, and his acting ability was just unparalleled. So I think you all know that one of my favorite movies that I can watch every week and not get tired of is Coming to America.
Yes.
So I loved him in that. And my favorite, I have a favorite line. My favorite line when he found out that Akeem was working at McDowell's, he said, "My son works." That is my favorite line.
That is a no-no.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So, Russ Well to James Earl Jones, he will be missed. You've left such a legacy, and the world of theater, the world of entertainment, and the world is better for you having been in it. So, thank you for sharing yourself and your gifts with us.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did have another rest well. If you have ever been to an African American family reunion or cookout, you probably, no doubt, have heard some Frankie Beverly and Mays. And we lost Frankie Beverly 2 days ago at 77, which does not seem old at all. It's not. But he recently retired and did his last show. I can't remember exactly when it was, but his last show was just recently, not too long ago. And he passed the reins on to a new lead singer, and it's going to be interesting to see what the music scene is with this new um, generation of Mays, I should say. So, does anyone have a favorite Frankie Beverly and Mays song?
I do not. And he's from Philadelphia, huh?
He is from Philadelphia. Yes, yes, he is a Philly hometown son
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and has been making music forever. First with one group, which then transitioned to being Mays. So, if you the next time you see an all white party, think of Frankie Beverly and
Okay.
Mays. Yeah. Um, Also, the fact of whenever I remember very well when I was at when I would go to like a party or you would be in the club, when the
Mm-hmm.
lights came on and you heard Before I Let Go, you knew the party was over. You knew it
Mm.
was over. That was like that is the quintessential song that ends every party. And Fred says Golden Time of Day is my favorite. It is beautiful, right? And Fred also says Beverly and Mays had a split because Beverly was struggling. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is interesting because I've never been to a Frankie Beverly and Mays concert, but I know some people that have, and they kind of talked about that like later as he started to, get on in years.
Hmm.
Some of the, the struggle with it. So, you have to know when it's time to move on to something else, or the time for this particular chapter is over. So,
Hmm.
yeah, but no, he will be missed. Absolutely amazing musician, beautiful golden voice, smooth voice. It's not like an in your face over the top voice, but just very smooth, which I loved about it. Fred also says on TikTok the crowd would sing for and with him to disguise it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I noticed that in some clips that I saw. So I think my favorite song from Frankie Beverly and Mays is We Are One.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have some beautiful sun rays coming down over your face, friend. I don't know if you
Really?
can see
Okay,
that.
let me see if
Yeah.
I can get
I think
this.
it's just repositioned. Yeah, there you go.
There
There
we
you
go.
go.
That's better.
Mhm.
Yes, the sun is moving.
Yeah, no, that's what happens. And this
Mhm.
is the interesting thing. This is why I always tell people natural light is beautiful, like when you're using natural light. But I always tell people, listen, if you're going to do that, you have to monitor how long you're going to be shooting because the sun will shift and then
Yes,
you'll
it
be
will.
left with completely different
Thank
lighting.
you, Fred. He says,
Yes.
he
It
says,
was that exactly. And that's funny, Fred, because as soon as you said that,
mhm,
the rays came. See, listen, that was Frankie. Thank you.
mhm, thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we see those rays again. I don't know if you move the computer
I
or
wonder if I can get, I can
okay, there
actually
you are.
turn. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay. I can
Let's
turn
see.
this way.
Okay, there you go. There you go. There you go.
I'll
Mhm.
turn the opposite way and
Yeah.
shift over.
It's just having that light source in the back of you too, but it is what
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we
It should be
see.
facing my face, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry. It is what it is. It happens. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. We're not going to get into the debate, but let's talk about the ratings for the Harris Trump debate. It
Okay.
drew 67 million viewers. This
Mm-hmm.
is
It
way
did.
past the June face off that Biden had with him. And ABC produced the event and it was simulcast on multiple networks.
Mhm.
I happened to be on a panel for the Dr. Vibe show where we discussed and gave feedback and talk back for the debate. But and there were many debate watch parties, etc. But yeah, this is, and by the way, he has declined to debate Kamala Harris again, or Vice President Kamala Harris again. So we will not see a second debate. This will be the only one. And again, it was 67.14 million viewers across the big four broadcast networks: CNN, Fox News, Fox Business, and MSNBC, including ABC. So that's almost 16 million more people than the June 27th debate. And that's a jump of 31%. And we know because this is very hot, it's contested, it's heated. So we knew that there was going to be a lot of interest in watching this. And part of it
Mhm.
is also because, the Harris campaign has so invigorated the base. So of course there was going to be a lot there. So this makes sense. This makes sense. So
Mm.
yeah, that was this is big. You don't see these types of numbers for that
I,
type of thing.
yes, I was wondering if you were going to talk about the social media impact of the Taylor Swift endorsement.
Y- Yeah, well, we can.
I mean, it is media and it is social media having an impact
Yeah,
on, life.
yeah, absolutely. So obviously, we know now that Taylor Swift has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for president, for her bid for president. And
Mhm.
a lot of people are saying that this could actually change the election end game. Um, the ABC News is saying this. So here's the thing. It's funny because ABC News said the Oprah, you know how the Oprah effect, everything she touches kind of like turns to gold or everyone.
Mhm.
There was also the Colbert bump, which I didn't know about. And now
I
they're
didn't
like,
know that either.
I didn't know about that. And then it's like, what about a swift surge? Now,
Mm.
so in terms of what you're saying with the effect on social media, all you need is for someone who is a social major social or has major social impact to say
Mhm.
something, and it sends waves, and that it doesn't matter what that something is. And that something could be good or bad, but it sends waves throughout social media, and I think this is what we are experiencing now. So Tuesday, right after the debate, that's when she told 280 million Instagram followers, her Instagram followers. First of all, the fact that she has 280 million Instagram followers, that's something else, right?
Mhm.
She could monetize just on social media and be good. But
Yes.
she's got 280 million social media followers or Instagram followers that she told she would be casting her vote for Harris and Tim Walz. And this is coming after a year of speculation as to, I guess, which way she was going to go.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So again, it reached to a fever pitch, according to ABC News, when President Joe Biden stepped aside, and then a wave of celebrity endorsements came in for Harris, including from many other musical artists.
Mhm.
So, a YouGov poll that was conducted just this past Wednesday found that more than 53% of Americans, including 31% of Republicans, think that Swift's endorsement will help Harris, while only 4% think it will hurt her. But it can feel sometimes like nothing moves the needle in a partisan, as partisan as we are. So it's very interesting. Well, we
Okay.
already know
Well,
that beyond.
Fred's got some
Go
Fred's
ahead.
got some comments.
Yeah.
He's
Let's
talking
go
about
ahead.
the debate. He says it was a 12-round slow Merriweather fight. Methodical Harris doing the rope a dope on on Trump, jabbing and moving on. Then he goes on to say Caitlin Clark, like Taylor Swift's endorsement,
Yes.
and Clark supposedly lost many followers.
Oh, well, those are not the people you want anyway.
Right. Hmm.
And so here, oh, welcome back, Fran. So here's the interesting thing, because this also, with that has called into question, like with Caitlin Clark, I saw so many people talked about that, and the ones that lost followers. Now, what we have to realize that on social media, often you are going to get bots. So
Hmm.
some of these are real people that are saying deplorable things, etc. But then there are a lot of bots, and there are a lot of bots that are um, from entities that are not friendly
Hmm.
to this country. So we have to keep that in mind. So number one, try to avoid arguing and going back and forth with people, especially people who seem stupid, because they could be bots. They could be just stupid people, or they could be bots. So don't waste your time going back and forth with them. It will just get you all up in a frenzy, and that doesn't help. But the thing we saw with Caitlin Clark is all of these people like saying things and pulling support. And one uh, thing I saw in particular was somebody saying, you shouldn't have said anything. You had it good, basically to in those words, basic, not in those words, but kind of like, well, you shouldn't have said anything about that. You had it good. You were writing good until you said something. So we have this mantra that everybody should stay in their lanes. And sometimes I do agree with that. But we have to remember that celebrities are also citizens. They do have a public platform, but they are also citizens. And they do have just as much right to voice opinion on things as we do. Because do we, I mean, I don't, but do we not see some people who will put their feelings about politics online on their social
Mhm.
media?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Now, these are citizens who pay taxes who just happen to have maybe 280 million people following them on a particular platform, so they have more
Influence.
exposure and more
Mhm.
influence. Yes. But this does not erase the fact that they are citizens. Now, they do have to be more careful because they have such a public platform that the things they say can influence and the things they say can be taken with more weight than if you or I said it. So
Mhm.
you do have to be cautious of that. But the fact to say, it's the whole thing of shut up and dribble, like you're only here for my entertainment. My friend, not when they pay more taxes, probably. She probably pays more taxes than we do. So, yeah. So interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, and probably makes more money than the person who told her to shut up and dribble. But anyway,
Exactly. They are not worried about you. My friend, go
mm,
and sit down. Have several seats. They're not worried about you.
yes. Oh my goodness. Woo.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry. I didn't want to take us down the political rabbit hole, but I did
yeah, no, no, and
wanted
we're
to.
not in a political rabbit hole at all. This is
Okay.
part of media. Politics constitutes part of pop culture, constitutes part of culture. The media is very intimately involved in politics, so we can't not talk about things like this. So, as it relates to how social media affects all of this, and how celebrities affect all of this, and how ratings affect it, it's all related. So, don't we're not in a rabbit hole.
And he calls it politics entertainment. Fred does.
Yeah, I like to call it politricks, but
Yeah, it is entertaining. Lately, it's been extremely entertaining.
I know I was quite entertained on during the night of
The debate,
the
yeah,
debate. I was.
you know,
It's interesting.
can also
So
be very harmful. But go ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is that with the whole Taylor Swift thing and also the debate drawing 67 million people, which I think
Hmm.
is interesting. Now, it remains to be seen. I don't know what else they're going to have connected to this that will be televised beyond ads, etc. But it remains to be seen how much more engaged people remain with television related to this, because obviously ABC had the rights to do this. But what would be interesting, I need to see how many online platforms, because then we watched it on, where were we watching it? They were sharing it. Dr. Vibe was sharing it from someplace, but I don't remember. But I remember being able to watch it on YouTube. So there
Yeah.
were several outlets who had access to this. And again, if you watched us, you were able to watch the debate as well. So I'm wondering about the number of people who actually had access online, and if
Mhm.
that number met or at least
Oh.
started to meet the 67 million that were there. And then how many people simultaneously watched on different platforms, be it linear television, at the same time they were watching something online. So I'd be interested to see those numbers.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that they are outstanding because I know a number of um, YouTubers did a replay the next day. And so,
Yes.
what would the replay numbers even show?
Yeah, who knows? The replays, yeah, would be interesting as well to see. So what happened online live, and then how many people watch replays?
Fred said he watched it on PBS NewsHour on YouTube on an iPad at his desk. Okay, I see you, Fred.
PBS NewsHour has really been on it when it comes to this whole thing. They're covering a lot of the rallies. They've covered the debate. They're covering a lot of this. So, and PBS NewsHour has always been top tier, in my opinion, when it comes to that. My mother was in love with the news, so she always used to watch PBS NewsHour. So,
Mhm, I love the PBS NewsHour. Fred says there's a term arising called YouTubing. I don't watch TV anymore. I watch YouTube.
well,
I notice
there's
I'm
so
watching
many
a lot more
people.
YouTube too. For most cord cutters, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. I'm a cord cutter, have been for it's been a long time now that I
It's been a
haven't
long
had
time for me
cable.
too.
And so cable was a complete waste. So my thing is why when you have all of this, YouTube is a cornucopia of content.
Mhm.
There are days when I don't watch linear television at all, and I'm a TV junkie because I am so engrossed in what's happening on YouTube. I have the people that I subscribed to, and I'm
Mhm.
watching their things. There are, and this is interesting, it brings you the world as well. That's not something you can necessarily get on linear television. They try, but they
True.
don't really succeed. So you can watch creators from all over the world, get a sense of what's happening in their part of the world. You can watch great scripted content from all over
Mhm.
the world. Every Sunday at 2 o'clock, Jennifer's Diary from Nigeria drops, and I'm always there watching it. So yeah, YouTube is more than what linear television is currently.
All right.
Yeah, and Fred says that he wrote an article and created a design of YouTube. If YouTube created a non-cable network TV, I called it YouTube channels. Interesting.
Hmm.
Would people watch it though?
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. He says local and high rated YouTube channels. Mhm.
On linear television. That's interesting. That's interesting. But I think the draw for YouTube is that people can respond. People can write comments.
Mhm.
It's interactive. So if you're doing it live, it's in the moment. If it's pre-recorded video or recorded video that you upload, soon after you can write your comment after you write it. That's not something that can be done with television. And I think we're in this age of transactional media and interactive media
Mhm.
where that may not be um attractive to. Now, granted, when I watch YouTube, I'm watching it on TV, but I also
Okay.
have another device open. So if I want to make a comment, I can.
Mhm. Ah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but interesting, interesting. Fred has some interesting stuff he does. Absolutely. All right. So there's just a few more that I have. Let's talk a little bit about. I know none of us are in New York, but I am a New Yorker. And New York Governor Kathy Hochul has said or touched on the fact that she may increase film, and TV and film production credits um, for the state.
What does that mean?
So, okay, when you have
Let me
credit,
get my
then
light.
oh,
Not
there you are. You're good. You're good.
my light is shining so bright, guys. Go ahead.
Yes. So, Fred knows this definitely. So, what happens is when you decide that you want to do a production in a state, in exchange for you bringing your production to a state, you probably are looking for credits, tax credits,
Oh,
which, yeah, tax credits which the state will give you, right?
yes.
Or
Mhm.
tax incentives.
Yes, I'm from
So,
California. You know, I know what they're
you
talking
know, that's right.
about.
You're from California, so you
Mhm.
know definitely. California is a state that runs on that type of thing. But,
Mhm.
so often some of these states have like California was one that started to get a little, and that's why if you notice productions were moving to places like
Yes.
Vancouver, Atlanta, because they started to cut down on the tax incentives and tax credits they can get. And so production companies were like, well, why would I stay here if I can't? That's stupid Florida's whole problem. Not the whole problem. We've got bigger fish to fry, but or there are bigger fish to fry here. But for a long time, there were two major productions that were here. Now, of course, they've done a bunch of movies. Of course, the Bad Boys movies were shot here. There were other movies that were shot here. But
Mhm.
for the most part, on a regular basis, the production that goes on here are commercials and Spanish language television.
Ah.
And news, obviously local news, etc. But you don't have major productions here. The last two major ones that were here were Burn Notice and The Glades. And I used to
Oh.
love Burn Notice. that was good.
I watch the Glades.
Okay, you watch The Glades.
I
All
like
right.
little detective shows.
Yeah, I love detective shows. Absolutely. So, Burn Notice and The Glaze were the last two that were here. And if I'm not mistaken, that coincides around the time that they stopped really giving decent incentives
Mm,
to production companies to make their productions here. For the most part, the weather is good, right? You have sunshine most of the time when it gets a little cooler in the quote
mhm.
winter, if there's such a winter here. You can really do a lot of different things. I mean, except for the possibilities of hurricanes and things, you can really do some things here. But the fact that they do not have good incentives, not only production companies said, well, I'm not going to bring my whole production here. And a lot of them moved to Georgia, to Atlanta,
Yes.
to for that. But also that meant that you don't have actors that are here.
Oh,
Actors left too because it's like, well, I'm an actor. Why am I here if I'm not going to be able to get work? So a
and
lot
I'm
of them
paying
went
these
to
crazy
Atlanta.
rents. Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
exactly. So Atlanta has a huge film industry, burgeoning film industry. And that's why you see at the end of a lot of these shows, you
Is,
see that peach, the Georgia
is it
peach.
just me, or did I just get?
Uh, yeah, you're good.
Oh,
You're
okay.
good. I think this, the sun is shifting. It's noon.
And my
So,
screen is just completely black.
oh, your screen is black?
Yeah, from what I could see. Okay.
Okay, but we see you. We see you. And I will
Oh,
let you know if we can't see you.
okay. Very good.
Absolutely. Fran says that Burnt Notice was good. It really, really was. And Fred says, going back to YouTube, yes, YouTube is enhancing chat capabilities on the big screen with the phone. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And you're able to see chat. And when if you have a smart TV and you're using a set top box like a Roku or Fire Stick, you're able to put the comments up on the screen.
Mhm.
You just can't answer on the screen, right? You have to use another device for that, but like your phone, etc. So yeah, Burn Notice was good. It was one of my favorites. But so to bring that forward, that's what's happening in so many states. So you have states that are stepping up, like okay, South Carolina, Nevada. Whenever you go to these conferences, I always see the film boards that are there for the state because they're really trying to encourage people to bring their productions to the state.
Okay.
Yeah. So New York is trying now. New York, when we talk about production in New York, what do they have? So they don't have major television shows necessarily all the time that are shot there like it used to be. Remember, before California became the epicenter of the entertainment industry, it was New York. So everybody was going to New York for that. So New York is theater, obviously. New York does
Right.
have some productions, but most of the production is news related
Ah,
in New
okay.
York. Right. Moving and so most of the scripted moved out to California. Even the things that are supposed to be set in New York, but okay, so we remember Friends. They didn't shoot Friends in New York, even though it was and we could tell by the way you did things. First of all, nobody's apartment in New York is that big, Monica. Second of all, the fact that you have no people of color there in New York City, impossible. So it was really a romanticized idea of what they thought New York City would be. I'm like,
Mm,
are any of the writers or anybody from New York? And if you are, you sat there and said nothing. But I digress. That's a whole other thing.
yes.
Yes, a whole other thing. But so the point is that lots of states are looking at this, and New York is no exception. She
Mhm.
actually she was at the Paley Center for Media in Manhattan yesterday, and she shared plans to increase the state's role in TV and film production
Yeah.
and AI.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently she's trying to expand the already very generous production tax credits, quote, so we don't lose business to New Jersey, Georgia, Toronto, and London. That makes
Mhm.
sense. And if you are a state, that's what you need to be thinking about. How do we maintain that? And because the entertainment industry is a major industry, and we're thinking about productions in terms of the camera people, the script writers, we're talking thinking about the actors, but there's so much more in terms of the industry. So for example, the costumes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The fasteners for the costumes, the makeup people, the makeup itself. Wherever you have the industries, you need things for the industry, right?
Yes.
You need products for the industry. So we don't, it's not just a unilateral industry where it doesn't involve other industries. It absolutely
Yes.
does.
And I remember during the pandemic how all of the catering trucks, the people were going out of business because they were catering movie sets
Hmm.
in the area, and they had a whole segment on that.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm. And Fred says you need lighting, producers, audio engineers, production assistants. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you need all of that, and those the people above and below the line, but then
Mhm.
the affiliated tandem industries that work because of that. So again, like you said, the food craft services and all of that. But then who prepares this food? Where's this food from? If we're getting a major amount of food from a particular supplier,
Mhm.
that then cuts
Oh,
down on their revenue when they no longer have this account anymore because this is not there.
that's good. Fred says insurance agency,
Insurance, yes. Yes, insurance
security.
is huge.
I forgot security
Security.
because if you've got major stars there, yeah. Mm.
Insurance, security, exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
Um, restroom facilities, right? Things like that.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
there is a lot. So I think people miss the mark when they think it's just a few actors and a camera person
Yeah.
and some lighting people. It goes way beyond that. And for some place, which is why, California, I know they're really working on that so they don't lose because especially Southern California, well, that's all over California, but particularly Southern California is where the epicenter of entertainment is. So I would say probably in Los Angeles, a good probably 80% are
Mhm.
connected to the entertainment industry in some way, even if not directly. Like Fred said, they work at an insurance company and they insure a lot. So they're in some way they are connected. So
Mhm.
now imagine losing a lot of productions to other states that have tax incentives.
And then you've got the taxes from the people who, as Fred says, are working overtime for city traffic management. Those people pay taxes.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So now your tax base is someplace else,
Mhm.
albeit California is very expensive. So many of them may have made their major, their homes, well, we call it homesteading here, but their residence in another state so that they
Mhm.
pay a lower tax rate, but then
Mm.
they maintain a second home in California.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Kathy Hochul is on the money. So she's speaking about, she talked about how they increased tax credits from 420 million to 750 million last year, and they're trying to do even more. She said,
Mhm.
we have the talent, we have the diversity of talent, which is so important. So states, you may want to take a look at those types of things because the entertainment industry, the media industries are extremely
Mm.
important.
Wow, I didn't even think about this part too. Housing, hotel stays,
Mhm.
taxes are huge. He said I worked in tourism. Tourism is more than just people sightseeing. That's true. And what if you own an Airbnb? He says I worked in Memphis tourism. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. See, tourism, that is a huge thing. And every city has a department or a board for tourism. And I
Mhm.
know here, one thing, and you know about this being a member of Zeta Phi Beta, that there are conventions, right? So you have a
Definitely.
convention and visitors bureau in most cities.
Hmm.
Here, once they heard when we had our centennial in
Yes.
Washington D.C., and I think that centennial brought in like almost $100 million to the city.
Hmm. Ours was in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and yours was in Philly, I remember. So I remember the head of tourism and conventions and tourism came to our president here and said, "How can we bring you all for because they're trying to raise that money for the city?" And I'm like, "Okay, we're like that has nothing to do with us per se, but
But when we go places, we shop, we eat, you know what I mean? We're stimulating the economy. The whole Taylor Swift effect.
yes.
Hmm.
Yes, yes, Fred, the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, many cities, most cities have those because you're trying, that's how you raise money for your city. Part of it is tourism. As bad of a name that tourism has gotten in some places as of late, it still does bring in a major.
I find that really interesting that there are actually pushback in a lot of countries because there's so much tourism as a result of pent up desire during the pandemic that people are telling tourists to go home.
Yeah, this is something we saw in was it France, Spain? I can't remember um specifically, but it's
Mhm.
happening in a lot of places. I think though that has to do with
Our attitude
American
when we get there.
misbehavior. Yes. And it's Americans. I
Hmm.
don't see this with any other group that they're saying please stop coming. This is Americans because Americans tend to exhibit and I don't want to say this blanketly, but there's a tendency to exhibit bad behavior and think every place is like here, and a refusal to learn about local ways and customs to make sure that things are done respectfully. And then also there's an influx of lots of people moving to cut because again, let's also say that America is expensive. So is Europe, but America is expensive. People are like tired of spending their last dime in a country that really does not really want you to be wealthy, right? So they're like, well, how can I live well someplace else? But what happens is you're coming with your living well money and it's driving up things for the locals. And so a lot of governments have had to do things like, okay, some places in Asia, there are certain places you can buy as a foreigner, but you're paying that much more than somebody who is local because they don't want for foreigners to come in and buy up everything and then, inadvertently own everything, own the country. So, and Fred says, yes, if a city doesn't want to grow, they do not invest in tourism. Small cities want to stay small and don't want people to believe their city is the new hotspot. You know what? The hipsters will find it anyway. You're muted.
I'm sorry. He says when you need to get something done in a city, hit up the Chamber of Commerce, the Convention and Visitation Bureau, and then the mayor. He says yes. And as far as the hotspot, yes, like they do that in Hawaii. And I really am concerned about people taking advantage of people after a tragedy like Puerto Rico and Hawaii and coming in and buying up everything for pennies on the dollar, and the locals have nowhere to go back home to. That's
Yeah, exactly. These are
Let me
people
get
that
off my
don't care.
soapbox. Let me get
No, it is a problem. There are great things about tourism, but then there's a downside of it. So absolutely. Yeah. So that's what's happening in New York. They're trying to get even more incentives. So let's do it.
There we are.
Yeah.
Um, oh my goodness. So is that your last story, Dr. Tachi?
One more story I think I have.
Okay.
Yeah. Um yes, let's do this. It's an HBCU story. Yay.
Oh, good.
So, yes, they have HBCU Go is an app for that shows HBCU games. So I don't know if you know that, but if you're interested in HBCU football, sometimes it's hard to see them. But HBCU Go has partnered now with Procter and Gamble for the 2025 2024 football season. So HBCU Go is owned by none other than Byron Allen. So it's a free streaming digital platform and the media provider for our nation's 107 historically Black colleges and universities. And just yesterday, Procter and Gamble is the presenting sponsor for this football season, the 2024 football season. And so they're also going to be airing new programming and features this season. So the sports kickoff show, which aired August 24th, is a new one. It's on HBCU Go. Also, HBCU Go's first live on-campus 2024 HBCU Go Sports Pre-Kick Game Live Kickoff Show. That's a long title, y'all. Which will lead into the biggest games of the season, including the Southern Heritage Classic, 3 homecoming games, and the rival matchup between Mississippi Valley versus Jackson State. And there's also going to be a brand-led commercial campaign called This Is How We HBCU, and it will run during the football season. And it recognizes the importance of supporting HBCUs and students to foster their success and continued growth. So this is what Byron Allen said. P&G truly understands the valuable untapped audience that HBCU Go can deliver. This new supercharged partnership with HBCU Go highlights P&G's continued efforts to reach audiences through Black-owned media partners in authentic ways, such as HBCU education and culture. So that's awesome that P&G is a major company. So that is awesome that they are a presenting sponsor. Yes, Fred, it's a Byron Allen owned HBCU app, HBCU Go. And he also says that ESPN has increased coverage and they are creating shows for HBCU games. Let me know. So I don't know if that's what you're saying, if that's the case. But the good thing about HBCU Go is that it is dedicated. So it is dedicated completely to HBCU games. So you may not be able, even though they may do some of the larger ones or some of the more well-known matchups, they're not going to do everything. And that's what HBCU Go covers. So if you're into football, and this is the interesting thing, and you went to Fisk, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you understand very well HBCU football culture, etc. There's a football culture, but we really care about the halftime show.
I was going to say it's the halftime show, and it is the fashion show.
It's a fashion show. Yes. So, yes, the football, you are proud when your school wins. You are very proud of everything they accomplish. But tell me if I'm lying, if after halftime, most people don't start heading back towards the parking lot because it's not, for us, it is not about the football per se. It is about the experience of being in HBCU culture.
Exactly. And you got to get ready for the party.
Exactly. So if you're sitting there
you got to change.
gallivanting,
if you are the HBCU, you change 2-3 times a day.
Absolutely. Especially during homecoming, have at least 5 outfits.
At least.
Yes. And I have not been to my homecoming in years, so I need to make it. And it's probably not going to happen this year because it's next month. But I need to make that a point. We'll see.
I would like to see what they've done with the well, anyway, that's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, Fred said, I played at JSU in the late 90s for a short stint with the Sonic Boom. Okay. Really? But Southern is king. Oh, Southern goes without saying. And Jackson State, what is the dance line at Jackson State is called they are the
Jaguars, or what?
Are they the Jayzettes, the Josettes? Wait, football. Okay, you mean you played football? The Jayzettes, that's right. I was like, the Jayzettes, the Josettes? Yes. So they are, when it comes to, listen, SWAC, the Southwest Athletic Conference, they are fire. Even though Howard is MEAC, that you have to give it up to swag. All
Mhm.
right, and that's what I have for you today.
You know what? It has been really, really engaging. I'm so glad we got to the Taylor Swift issue, and the different things that are affecting, social media and the whole football thing. That's a big deal.
It is.
That's
It
a big
is.
deal. I want you to know that um, we did get a video in from Terry Johnson online this week. So
Oh, all right.
we're gonna run that video. She had some technical issues, and I think that's really interesting. We had tech issues on Tech Day, but stuff happens. You know what I mean?
Let's make it work.
Yeah. So let's see if we can't run this video. Okay, you ready? Let me get here and press the button.
Here are the latest social media updates for the week ending September 13th, 2024. Instagram adds new DM engagement options. Instagram is now adding some new DM engagement features to spice up your private chats. First, Instagram has added drawing tools and stickers for images shared in DMs, providing another way to customize your messaging engagement. Second, Instagram is expanding its cutouts option to DMs so you can use specific elements from your photos as stickers. Third, Instagram's also adding new birthday indicators to users' notes bubble in your inbox so you'll know when it's their birthday. Bonus, there's also a confetti animation when you tap a birthday note. YouTube expands access to courses for creators. YouTube has released its Add Yours sticker for YouTube Shorts with a full rollout. The sticker works just like Instagram's Add Yours feature. It prompts users to share their own take on a creator's video. Once you're done recording a video, you can tap the sticker's icon, select the Add Yours sticker, and then enter a prompt. After your short is published, viewers can respond with a short of their own or tap the sticker to check out other responses. OpenAI unveils O1. OpenAI has announced its next major product release, a generative AI model codenamed Strawberry, officially called OpenAI O1. There are two models in one, O1 Preview and O1 Mini, a smaller model aimed at code generation. Unlike GPT-4o, the previous version, O1 can't browse the web or analyze files yet. OpenAI says it plans to bring O1 Mini access to all free users of ChatGPT at a later date. And that is your social media news and updates for this week.
Wow.
That was really interesting. Thank you so much, TJ, for taking the time out to send in the video so that we could keep current. What is this? Wait a minute. What did he say? Wait a minute. Hold on. What's going on here? We got some side stuff. Okay, we're talking. Y'all are talking to one another.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know that Fred is an Omega.
Okay, my brother is a Q. So
Okay.
yeah, and my mother was a Delta. So that's
Oh,
interesting.
wow. This is all very interesting.
Yes. All of this is coming out. So we just want to give a salute to the Divine Nine. And
Yes.
we want you to know that we are excited and encouraged that we are still in existence 100 years later. And we salute you all. With
Yes.
that, we just want to remind everybody that, hey, if you're looking for excitement in the world of social media, you want to make sure that you check Indie Soup out with Dr. Tachi and that you follow Terry Johnson online everywhere so that you can stay current. She is here every Tuesday. Dr. Tachi is here every Friday. And we just want you to know that we're excited to have them in the studio. Remember to follow Mediascope, and you can find indiesoupmedia.tv for if you're looking for Dr. Tachi. In the future, we just want to say thank you so much for your time. And Fred says, yep, the HBCU stuff is a hot button for me. I tried to help for years. Yeah, we love it, and you know what? We're dedicated to it. So we're gonna make sure that it
Yes.
survives.
Yes.
I have a grandson who's about to go off to school, so we're excited,
Wonderful.
and a couple of friends who just had two granddaughters graduate from Spelman. I mean, these institutions have got to survive all of this wonderfulness. So I thank you for your faithfulness, audience. Also, I want to remind you that it's okay to make money in your business. So go to the front of your own line. And if you're looking for Biz Chicks, we would love for you to join our community at and simply text biz to 33777, or you can find us over at bizchicks.net. We're here helping to take the hassle out of your hustle. We give a shout out to TJ and a shout out to Fran. She's off the train and on her way to her destination. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you, Dr. Taji,
Thank you.
for all that you do. We appreciate you. Bye bye, everyone.